Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
So when I was working on Selena, the series for Netflix, to play the role of Abraham Quintanilla, I put on a specific amount of weight, which I was fine doing, but also realizing it could be difficult to get that weight off. I got back into my physical regimen with James Leja, but I was still having trouble with just those last amounts. And that's when I got to meet Arturo from Laredo Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And just the products that he gave me kind of put me over the edge. I feel great about myself.
Hi, I'm Don McLaughlin. I'm a candidate for House District 80, which consists of Webb County, Uvalde County, Dimmitt County, Zavala County, Frio County, and Atascosa County. I'm also a small businessman, and I know what it takes to run a small business. And for too long, we've had too much government regulation coming into our small business and making it tougher and tougher for us to survive and get by. And that's one of the things I hope to change. Small business is the backbone of the state of Texas, and we need to make sure it thrives and that they have the support they need in government and less government regulation.
Today I have a great guest who is running for City Council District 5, right? Correct? Mr. Jose Ovando. How are we doing? Doing good? It's good. Good. It's good to see you. Yeah. I was so surprised that you were going to run. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. But I've seen you stand up and always going and trying to check up on issues with the school board. And why the change? Is there some concerns here with the city or something? What do you see?
Inicialmente, I did not have the intent to run. Dicen que la ociosidad es la madre de todos los vicios. It makes you do wrong things sometimes. I was at the house not doing anything, and I was reading that nobody had signed up. And I just thought, that can't happen. I'm always complaining about people not signing up to run, and I said, well, I'm just going to go sign up myself to run. That's what I just thought of a whim. I went and did that. But I really wasn't expecting the outpour of support from people. And as I started, I just signed up, and then, slowly it started rolling. A lot of people were calling me, congratulating me on it. But yeah, it was just out of my whim. I wasn't really expecting to do it. And then this recent fiasco of the water came up, and I thought, it's a good thing that I did, because I was pretty angry about it, because I have a lot of friends who got sick, their children got sick, and I think on Wednesday I took my little one to the emergency room with stomach problems. And they told us, oh, it's a bug that's going around. And my friends had told me the same thing, oh, it's a bug that's going around. Now we know it wasn't a bug that was going around. I mean, people were actually getting sick. And I was pretty angry about it. I tried to lay with the better angels of my nature. I didn't want to be unprofessional, but I was really pretty angry that what's going on with the water right now. And I think a lot of people are also, because I'm receiving a lot of private messages about it's all about the water. And and City Council right now, what they're bringing up a lot is their pay raise, their pension, and people are concentrating on the water, and so am I. I mean, I'm pretty offended about it too.
Those are some good points that you say. One, the pension, the raising of of their salaries, and claiming that it's not a raise, and claiming that this is not. There's a lot more things that need to be done for that to happen. A lot of individuals say they go into city council and they say, I'm going to be a full-time city council person, member. And you call them up for a problem, they're not there to answer. But some aren't. Some do answer. And right now, the city, I think everybody nationwide, not only our micro of Laredo, but I think the macro of everybody else is in this, it's very disillusioned, frustrated with the government, period, across the board.
Yes.
And we have a dysfunctional city government here in Laredo, and I can say that with some of the things that I've seen, some of the things that are going on, that it seems to me that there's a lack of communication and a lack of concern by employees to where the direction of Laredo is going. We have some good employees, and don't get me wrong. You know, we have excellent firemen, first responders. They're great individuals. But what I'm talking about is they talk a lot about bringing small businesses forward. I'm a small businessman. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And we have groups of us that stick together, and it has seemed to me that the focus is not on that. The focus is we're land port. We're the first land port in the nation with a top both land and sea port. That's our business. No, how about all the rest of them? And the reason I bring this out is because I started getting, you know, I'm going to jump around, but try to get back into track. We've been here for a very long time, okay? And we've always wanted to expand somewhere else because I want to put a boxing ring. We can't put a boxing ring here. We can't put more weights in here. We wanted to build a more solidified, more for the more serious people that are serious practitioners that are going for the ring.
Yeah. Well,
So we started looking at some areas. We found some places, and we called planning and zoning, and then please come out and see if this fits the bill, because a lot of people make a mistake here in Laredo, and then planning and zoning comes out, or building inspection comes out and says, you can't put that type of business here, but I already have a lease. So now you're stuck with it. You can't open it, or they'll give you, by the time you open it, you don't have any more money to pay for the overhead. So a lot of these businesses go under. So another problem that we have is if there's construction and you have to remodel, it takes a building inspector to give you a temporary, anywhere between 15 to 25 days to get out there.
yeah.
Understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's not right.
that's not right. So there's a lot of those issues that are going on. That's what I'm trying to get at. But I started seeing that a lot of friends and people that were conservative, that voiced their opinion, very opinionated with politics on Facebook. Maybe they were Republicans, maybe they're conservative in nature. All of a sudden, their businesses were getting hogwashed with a lot of inspections and delays and this and so on and so forth. And I saw that opening, trying to buy this place. They said you couldn't open it because this type of business was going. I said, okay, fine, we're going to search elsewhere. We searched elsewhere. There's no parking. I go, this building was built in 1920. We're gonna, basically this is what we need. They said, no, you need parking spaces, but it's never been with parking spaces. You guys are trying to bring businesses, they can park on the street, not for this type of business. Understand what I'm saying?
Well,
And so then I saw a Republican candidate that told me I was going to have a headquarters. I was about to sign the lease. The building department said, yeah, you can put it here. Everybody said you can put it here. And all of a sudden I get an inspector that says you have to go to planning and zoning, and the first meeting is October 28th.
well,
So I said to myself, oh, they're going after, that type of harassment is called the political obstruction. And to me, I feel, in my opinion, that that's going on in the city. So that lack of, how can I conveyance, or how can I put it, from the city council to the city manager to the directors to the people that are working on the field, there's a lack of communication. Everybody's all over the place. Understand what I'm saying? So people go out there and yell at the city councilman. The city councilman tells the city manager and the department heads, and they say, oh, you guys are micromanaging. But there are representatives who go out there in the first place. If there's a problem, they're the ones that should be out there saying, you know what, this is going over here. That's the way I look at it. I think that's what it should be.
Right, and I agree with you. And let me tell you something. I've been speaking with a lot of people. I've been walking some streets, and I've also spoken with employees of the city. And I hear everyone has sometimes different complaints, but the ones that I hear most constant, and if I can surmise them, is leadership. That's exactly what you're talking about. There is a big lack of leadership. And the thing is that nobody takes responsibility of that. And you're talking about right now the zoning issues. Most of those people, what they lack is leadership. That they know, hey, these are the rules and we have to stick by them. And whether it's in favor of one or another, it doesn't matter. These are the rules, and these are the rules that we have to stick by, and that's good leadership. But right now, they don't have that leadership. And the other day that we were at the political forum there at the city, we only have 2 minutes to respond, and I didn't want to go over it. I was trying to be respectful of it, but some of these issues are so deep that you need more than 2 minutes to discuss them. And I was talking about, the lady there was, Ms. Negron asked a question in regards to where they have los animalitos.
The pounds and the animal shelters?
The animal shelter. And, the first thing that comes to mind, because I'm talking to people, is the lack of leadership. And I spoke about that. But then I wanted to go into the financial factors, because the first thing that you have to do as a leader is look into yourself. How am I failing you? What do I need to change in me to help you do something?
Right.
And there in the city, I don't think that's happening, because one of the persons that I talked to right there, they told me they don't have enough resources. And we had a great conversation, and, to me, and we had, she's the one that brought this up, and I don't want to say names or anything. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, because you know how it is in the city. This person was telling me, hey, how come they have $700,000, close to $1 million, in what do they call those funds? Not the personal funds.
Discretionary
the
funds?
discretionary funds. She told me that they have over $700,000 in discretionary funds. How come they can build some cactuses there on the park, which are dangerous, and to me they're a nuisance?
I don't even think they're there anymore.
They're not even there anymore. How can you pay $700,000 on that from your discretionary fund to a friend? But we don't have the resources for one department. That's ridiculous. And how can you talk about economic development when you're doing things like those? You really don't have any leg to stand to talk about economic development when you're doing something like that.
Those are good points that you mentioned. Discretionary funds, the way I've always understood it, it has to be something brought down with the concrete or something to beautify your area, or speed bumps or issues like that arise. And I think it's needed, but again, I don't know the ins and outs of how. I just know that the cactuses were there. I don't know what's behind it. But what I'm trying to say is, I think the lack of communication, the lack of leadership, I think they're putting, this is so-and-so's best friend, let's put it up here and put that person to lead this department because she worked in that department 20 years ago, and I think that she should lead it now. And so you have employees that feel bad, don't want to work, out in the workforce, that have bad leadership, so they're doing jobs mediocrely or not at all, and when a complaint comes in and you do complain to the department head and you make a formal complaint, they don't pass it forward, so you have to go to the city manager, or if you go to your council member, then they'll say everything's taken care of, and it's not. I had an incident here. An inspector came, because we're doing some work here. Inspector came and started, the rudest individual, definitely with my hands out, how you doing, and started yelling and started doing this, so I made a complaint. And when we started talking to the other individuals that were around, electricians and contractors and air conditioning men, they said that guy has been a nuisance for the last 15 years. People complain and he's still there. So no wonder issues arise if you have individuals of that note. You have to be if you have a cashier that every time somebody's gonna pay, they rip them a new asshole, all of a sudden now you're there, people aren't gonna stop going to your store. You understand what I'm saying? So you better get rid of the cashier and whoever, and if she's your cousin, you put her in the back to sweep, you know?
Well,
You know what I'm saying? So,
And you know what the problem is here? That in this case, you can go to another store, but in
Yeah.
our case,
You can't.
You can't go to anyone.
you can't.
So you're stuck.
But you know, and when you're building, you see, here in Laredo, we have a lot of real estate. You have a lot of real estate that, a lot of the real estate that's being made, they're shells. Some of them you have to put the concrete and the piping and the water and everything else inside. And if it takes you 15 to 25 days for a person to go in there and give you a temporary electric permit, for you to start construction inside, and it gets here with that type of attitude and says, okay, you need another 15 days to come back out here again or to start this process again or what have you. Imagine 2-3 months and you're still not even halfway with the construction because this type of individual is hounding people. I'm not trying to say relax and have ill construction.
No.
I'm talking about you have to have people in there that are responsible and have common sense and that type of attitude, not the demigod type of attitude that we have.
Just following the rules.
Follow the rules. You know, small businesses here in Laredo are hurting.
Yes.
They were, after the pandemic, they were basically wiped out. And it was only, we're gonna help our selected few. And now with the attitude that I've seen in the last 2 years, with how they're acting towards folks that are conservatives or Republicans, we're gonna put it that way, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. Because that's why people are moving to San Antonio and McAllen and other areas, because they're more small business friendly. And here's another note. For you guys, I'll tell you this, and you've seen it. I did a research on Laredo and how it ranks. So we're always saying we're the #1 port.
Yes.
Okay? But how are we everywhere else? The number that I got here that, if you guys want one, send me an email, I'll send you the PDF. Nothing to hide. We're #10 in poverty, the cities of the nation. #10.
We're one of the most, yeah, we're
Imagine that.
Yeah.
#1 port, but we're #10 in poverty. You know how many jobs we have, manufacturing jobs? Here it is, it's here. It's 0.8%. It means nothing. Okay? So we have to start bringing it in. And the people say, no, it's because they're import-export. We have to start.
Let me ask you, Paul, if
change that.
you were a big corporation and you wanted to build a manufacturing facility here in Laredo, would you do it? Because the first thing you're gonna see in the news is there's no water.
Well,
So would you build that? Let me ask you, would you do that? And you see, that's why it's important that even the most basic utilities that we need have to be there because.
and that's a good point, what you brought up. You know, Tulsa was gonna come years ago. Toyota was gonna come here. Toyota went to San Antonio.
Yeah.
But when you start listening to that, is it because Tulsa or Toyota came down and saw the type of attitude that was going on with the building inspectors? Or they had some director that went up to them and gave them this bad attitude, they said, you know what, see you later.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
a big corporation is not gonna jump into something blindly. They
Right.
will have reports for everything, like something like this and even,
Bigger.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
build,
Yeah.
and one of the things that they're first gonna realize is if there's a zoning problem or zoning issues, that's gonna come up, and they're gonna avoid that.
Mhm.
Because it's business, it's nothing else but business. And going back about the ports, this is one thing that I've always asked people and nobody's ever been able to answer. If we have the biggest land port in the nation, and there is so much money going into Laredo, the coffers of the city of Laredo, where is that money? Why are we I think we're one of the poorest cities.
#10.
Yeah, in the United States. Why? Where is that money? And nobody's ever been able to tell me, look, it's right there, a beautiful bridge, or, like an awesome highway that interconnects all our streets. We don't. Look at 20. It's in shambles. You're just gonna drive through there and get into an accident, especially if you're driving there at night because it doesn't even have lights sometimes. So
You know, you've brought up some excellent points real quick. and we're going to be touching base on it. As you were saying, the coffers, the streets, where is it? ¿Dónde está? It's nowhere to be found.
¿Sabes dónde está? It's right there in the cactuses, the prickly cactuses that they put there. That's where that money is. And is that the future that we want for our city? Is that how we want to? How we want to live?
If you want to have some artistic works, and I get it,
And I believe that.
and
I
beautify.
truly believe it. No, I believe
listen,
that.
I'm the same way. I believe in that, but we need to be more concerned where and how the backbone of any city is the small businesses that are there. Where is that going to be out there? Where's the manufacturing jobs? You know, I keep saying this story, and I say it all the time. I've been involved in martial arts for a long time, but I used to do a lot of seminars throughout. Okay, and I was invited to go do a seminar. This was 2004, and I was invited to go in Reno, and we were in one of the casinos there. And they had a convention center, and because we're part of the one convention, we can go to the other conventions that were there. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so one of the instructors now we were just walking. We had time. It was a long day, and we saw this convention here, and it said robotics convention. Let's go take a walk. So we walk in. We start walking in there. They had all types of robotics, from manufacturing robotics, that type of stuff, lifting, all kinds of stuff. And as we were walking the first corner, in the second corner there was a little booth. It said McAllen, Texas. And I go up there, and we started talking, and one of the guys, there were three. There were two girls and a guy. And the guy said, "You know what? I had family that owned a restaurant in Laredo, the Unicorn." And I go, "Yeah, I remember the Unicorn Lounge. It was still around back at that time. It was just closing around that time." And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "What are you all doing so far over here, especially in robotics? You're not selling robotics." He goes, "No, we're offering those companies to come down." Never once have I seen Laredo anywhere. No. But you know how Laredo advertised after that? They put big billboards on 35 and on saying Laredo's safe. And then people say, why would people advertise that? Then all of a sudden they start reading about the setas and everything else, and people don't want to come to Laredo.
It's so you don't drink the
saying?
water.
The water, and that's an issue. The water issue is one. I mean, we have to worry about everything that's going on. I mean, what's going to happen to Laredo? Is it going to become another Flint, Michigan? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I hope not.
It was a booming place. All of a sudden, they killed it, and they killed it because I think the complaint that everybody has is, why is the city doing this? Most Laredoans are now coming to the fact that they're becoming very vociferous, and it's probably because of social media. But what happens is they think the congressman controls Laredo. No, they think the county judge controls the schools. No, each one is independent by themselves. Okay, and I'm just using them as an example. The city council should be concerned about what's going on in their districts and in Laredo as a whole. And they should start listening to, instead of reacting to, in insulting ways, many of them, towards people that say, this is happening in your district. And then they shut them down and they attack them on social media. Sometimes people cannot get to that individual. Maybe they've already left 10, 20 messages on your phone with your secretary to the director and complain about this. And the only way they're going to complain is voice themselves out in social media, and then they get attacked by everybody from the city. And when I'm using the word city, I'm talking about those that work within the municipality. It's the lack of communication, the lack of leadership, the lack of taking responsibility, the lack of firing individuals that need to be fired and hire individuals that can do the job.
Yeah.
Not hire an individual because he was holding a political sign. Understand what I'm saying? Not the individual because he went out there and he was on the corner waving a flag when I was running. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to hire, we have to start thinking.
And you know, the people that I've talked to, and I had the opportunity to talk to some people from the city, they were telling me the same thing, the favoritism. And unfortunately, when you're doing things like that, it's demoralizing for the rest of the employees. And I think as an employee, because that's what I am also, I'm an employee, and it would be demoralizing to be seeing these things happen day in and day out. And the city continues to, we've lived this way for many, many years. But I agree with you. I think that there is a big change coming. I think that people are starting to realize that, hey, I can make a change. I can go vote. And I think that's one of the most important things that people can do. We're just talking about you can't go to another store, right? You can't go to another, if you don't like this store, you can't, in the government, you can't go to another government. This is what you got. But you have one very powerful tool, and that is to vote.
Yeah.
You can go out there and vote and make this change happen.
You know, and you said it, yeah, we have a powerful tool with voting when everything's in the up and up. And we already found out that in the last election, and it's saddening, but a lot of police officers did not vote correctly. They moved to a certain district to vote in certain people, and we found voter fraud, and nothing was done.
No.
So there's a lot of people that are worse off than before and saying the hell with it, and it's not gonna, the same cheaters are gonna be doing the same cheating. And I think we have to, I think we have to place people inside. I hate going to extremes, but I think now it's time for term limits to be less. You got one term limit, now you go, period. Thank you for your job. Get another one inside, because what I'm finding out now with especially a lot of individuals that go in there, they go in there for the first 4 years. Oh yes, I'm doing this, and in the second 4 years, it's how much I can get out of it, or how much how much can those that help me get reelected can get out of it. And it's a 4-year term, but all of a sudden, you know, issues like that happen.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I think, and I may be wrong, but if you're dirty, you're dirty.
Yeah, of course.
¿Me entiendes? I've always seen it that way. Si eres una persona de muy poca moral, you're always going to be that. I mean, let's be honest. And your past is a pretty good predictor of your future. And I agree with you that some people there may not have the best intent or are focused into what's important for us as citizens. But I think that there are people out there that do have that integrity and that moral upstanding to be leaders of our city. And I've known some personally, and I've told them, why don't you run? You know, it really hurts me when I see a candidate that's running unopposed, and you see that a lot here in Laredo.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the way. I mean,
You
we
know,
should
'cause-
always have, you know, our best up there trying to run and, you know, get the best people that we can into those positions. And going back to what you were talking about, you know, I'm going to be a full-time city council member. That's BS, and let's be honest, because it doesn't take a full day there's a city manager for that, you know, and you can always speak with the constituents, answer questions, and direct them to the right place. But you don't need somebody there full-time. When I hear that is, I don't have a job, and I'm going to be in there to see what I can get for me.
Yeah, well,
You know, that's what I hear.
yeah.
The way I understand that our government is supposed to work is that we're supposed to have teachers, police officers, doctors in there. We're supposed to have, you know, a plumber. We're supposed to have a small business owner, somebody that's looking out for the interest of the people in the community that they are in. Not a person who doesn't have a job and is there for their own personal serving. That's the way I see it. So every time I hear someone say, I'm going to be your full-time, yeah, that means you probably don't have a job. And I can tell you, let me tell you here, Paul, I have a job.
No, I understand.
And I'm not going to be in there fighting for a $20,000 pay raise, because, you know, God has given me so much. And I'm very thankful to the Lord because He's given me so much, and this city has given me so much.
Sure.
And I have this personal commitment to give back to my community because of that. So I'm not going to go in there to fight for a pay raise, not even a pension either, because I've been in my job for so long that I can get a pension.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know-
it's your service to the city. That's what we're supposed to be in there for.
You know, you mentioned, you touched a point that people should go in and come out. Our founding fathers did it that way, okay? And I'm going to use Trump as an example. He came out, he wasn't a career politician. He came out and he's working. He made his billions. He's working, trying to lift everything up. And then after that, he's leaving back again. He's not a career politician like the ones we have that we have been there for 25 years, 35 years, 37 years, 41 years, some of them, and have done nothing. They are the problem. So term limits now have to be, you're in it one time, out you go. And I hate to be that much of an extreme because they'll say, oh, we already have term limits. Yeah. But a lot of these guys that go inside, the second time around, they start learning how to grift. Okay? And grifting has become a major problem.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that were in some type of representation, whether it was U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, Texas Senate, Texas representative, they come out and become lobbyists. Why? Because they knew how to grift. Understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Why do you want to go back into because they know where it's at. They know how we can get certain things. And I think that's what the issues here. There's so many problems that we have that everybody has to sit down and have a nice, crucial conversation. But what happens with a lot of these committees, which is what the committees are for, they put their best friends going there. So they put the hey sirs and the yes ma'ams. And they don't do anything. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. How high do you want me to jump? No. It's not about that. Give us ideas about what we need to change.
Yeah.
That issue with the water. It's very alarming because a lot of those people that are in the committee have been there for the last 10, 15 years. They have yet to come up with something. Now you have a settlement that's being developed just north of 35, and they already have water. Mm-hmm. Oh, but it's not really good water. They have to. No, they're already solving their water. They solved it. But you guys who are over here sitting down that you guys couldn't do in the last 10, 15, 20 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's the same people inside the same committees. And you see them from here. Now they're in the committee for traffic. Now they're in the committee for violence. Now they're in the committee for whatever. Planning and zoning. Wait a minute. What do you, if you're not a construction, if you're not a general contractor or in construction somewhere, what are you doing in planning and zoning?
Well,
if you can barely make a cheesecake, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? What do you have any? Oh, because we hope so and so in the election.
let me ask you a question, and let's go back to the lobbyist thing. You know there is a rule that you can't go to lobby after a certain amount of time, correct?
Apparently.
Okay. What is the city trying to do right now to change their rules? Have you seen the policies that came up to vote for the citizens in Laredo?
No.
One of them is that as soon as you leave the city, you can get a job with the city.
As soon as you leave the city?
Yeah, if you were employed by the city.
If you were employed by the city.
And you left for an elected position, you can return to that position again as soon as your term ends. You don't have to wait a year. You don't have to wait 2 years. Look it up. It's one of the propositions that they're going to put up for vote.
So if you were employed by the city of Laredo, and you became a public official anywhere,
Council member.
Council member specifically.
Well, it doesn't say council member. I'm giving you an example.
Okay.
You become an elected official.
That you can, when your term is over, do you have to quit if you definitely it would be a conflict if you're an employee of the city and run for city council. You have to quit, right?
My understanding is you can run for city council. You don't have to quit your job to run for city council.
So when you quit the city council, you come back?
There is not a time or a cool off period, because that's what usually they try to do in the federal government is a cool off period that you were a senator and after 2 years, which is a really short time, to be honest. 2 years is a short time. Then you can become a lobbyist. In our case right now, the thing is that if you finish your term, you can go back to your job and work for the city. And, that example, I think it's specifically geared to benefit one person, and that is my opponent. He was a police officer, and now he's gonna, if he doesn't win, he's gonna go back to be employed by the city. They're just benefiting themselves. You look at the deal, Paul. No, we can't continue doing this. Like, we just can't continue being like this. We have to change. At some point, we're gonna have to change.
Listen, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was said all the issues that are going on, and the question arose. Everybody's so disgruntled with the federal government. The government's alive and everything else. And somebody said, "Is there a chance of civil war?" Because everybody's talking about it, both Republicans and Democrats up in D.C. They're the ones that are bringing that rhetoric around. And the person said, "We better start fixing it with the election box, because if we fix it with the ammo box, it's going to be very ugly." And we've had countries that are the refugees, and they're seeking asylum here because it went the other way around. And in those countries, we do not have, well, they had at a particular time, they had a type of Second Amendment. They don't have it anymore. It was removed. And I think right now is the time frame that we better start paying attention how our elections are going to be. Because if this election comes out dirty, like the last time election, and the reason I say the last one came out dirty, because we had a court that proved that these individuals moved and they stacked the vote. If it comes out dirty, I think people are not going to put up with that. I understand, and it's not about Harris or Trump or anything. People are just tired. You see the attitudes. You see people suffering. The people with the water issue. That's a bad situation. There were almost fights in Walmart. We went to Sam's. There were people arguing in Sam's. People arguing right here at this corner store. People need to. They're not going to be pushed anymore. Understand what I'm saying? People are already at that point. We're being pushed too much. And I think that's what's happening. I think this goes to any city councilman or city manager or whoever's listening. You have to start paying attention to the complaints that are being brought forth by the citizens of Laredo. Valid claims in all departments, and start fixing them. Because if it's gotten to the point that nobody trusts the city.
You know, this thing that happened.
Nobody trusts the water.
Yeah, this thing that happened with the police officers, changing their address to benefit one single person over there.
But they got caught. They got caught. How many times did they do it before?
And that's what I was.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? How many times?
And
we got great police officers.
What was the reaction of the city? Like, what is it that they did? Did they act immediately? And no, they were trying to see let's see if it blows away.
I don't even know. I don't even know whatever happened to them. I don't know. Nobody knows. No. You know, it brought me back. We used to have a group of friends used to have breakfast every so often at a certain place. And I remember this day, because it was a Tuesday. It was Wednesday that we used to go sit down. It was the Denny's, the one on Saunders. Not Saunders, but not those where Juleps used to be at. And the night before, they had caught, this guy had raped 2 girls here in Laredo. In the same place, near some school that they go walk around. And he was caught, and he was released on bail. And everybody was like, why did they release him? Because his father worked for the department. Okay. And they said, well, pobrecito el papá, por eso lo soltaron. Ese papá, that guy should be locked up. He raped 2 girls in one day. Then all of a sudden, I'm not saying it was him, but then all of a sudden you had a string of rapes in Laredo. This was about 2007, 2008, más o menos. Then you had a string of rapes. I think it went to 26 rapes. That they called it the North Side Rapist. Nobody really, the care about everything that was going on. Not saying that rapist was the same rapist, because apparently they were different. What I'm getting at was the lack of the city care for the safety was very, very low. we've always taught women self-defense. We've done it free for many years. Okay, so they started coming to us. I had a friend of mine, Curtis Silwa, who was a founder of the Garden Angels, come down. The city was opposed to him coming, was opposed to us that we're bringing bad news to Laredo. No, it wasn't. This is something that is for the benefit. Let's learn from the people that are in that phase all the time. Let's learn from them.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying? Instead of taking it negative, let's start learning from it. What I'm getting at is when things happen, it's usually the protection because of somebody's cousin or this one, no le hagas este porque este trabajó conmigo, no le hagas este because his father was, you know what I'm getting at, that favoritism, cronyism, or what have you. And we have to take responsibility. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you're doing a bad job, you're doing a bad job.
And that is the case here right now with our city council members. Are citizens really happy with the way things are going? Because we're part of that cronyism, we're part of that favoritism where, yeah, he's my friend, but is he doing a really good job? Him or her? Is that person really doing a good job in city council? And if not, you're part of that cronyism, you're part of that favoritism because, that is not a position for somebody just because he's my friend should be there. We need to get there people that are going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we don't have these problems like the water. And we fall back in the water because it's the biggest problem that we have right now. Not the only one, but it's the one that's affecting us the most.
There's a lot of them that are affecting us the most. This is one.
You can touch on it.
No, yeah. What we need to do besides everything here, we need security.
We do.
We need security. We need to have people to work with all the agencies together here in a more secure thing. We have a fentanyl problem that we have here.
Yes.
And everybody's kind of wondering what it is. And we know where the problems are at.
Yes.
But they're running around with, hornet and wasp killer chasing every single wasp that's running around the neighborhood instead of going straight to the nest and killing the nest.
Yes.
They don't want to attack the problem. They're out there chasing everything around. And I think with the security issue, with the fentanyl and with the drugs that come inside, everybody knows where the problem's at.
Yeah, we do.
But
hopelessness is part of that too.
But nobody wants to do anything about it. Everybody's chasing everything, all the wasps and hornets that are out here, but they don't want to deal with an actual problem.
But you see, the reason I believe that, it's not that they don't want to or they don't know how to. It's because their focus is somewhere else. And their focus is to benefit themselves or their friends. And if this is not something that is going to benefit somebody directly, it's not of their interest. And that is why we're falling so behind compared to other cities. I know that we like to compare ourselves a lot to the Valley, to San Antonio. There's no comparison. There's no comparison in the amount of money that the city receives from the bridges because nobody else has that. So we should be one of the wealthiest cities in all of the United States. If we're the major port, we should be one of the wealthiest cities. We're not. And we can't compare to services compared to San Antonio or McAllen because we don't have them. And all this comes back to leadership because we do not have our leaders are concentrated on something else, their own benefit, their friends' benefits, not as to what serves the city best. That's not what they're looking at right now for.
Everybody talks the benefit of leadership. But I think the leadership is in the lack of the departments. I think we have to change that leadership. And it has to come into that. And what happens with that is, this is what I see. This director of this department is getting hounded with a lot of complaints of the department. They've already complained to city council. City council brings it up to the city manager. In the next meeting, that director comes up and says, it's already being handled. There we go, fine, okie dory. So he knows that these two city councilmen over here already have complaints. So he's gonna go over here and work on these 4, 5, or whatever on this side. And all of a sudden, that problem arises the following year. Now I don't have to do anything because I have 5 votes that they're not gonna fire me. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that is what's happening in Laredo. That is what's happening in Laredo. Either the city manager has to take toll, or we have to replace the city manager, and we bring in somebody that might be better. I think he's a nice guy, but it's more lax. Who cares? Everybody's pointing fingers. Oh, they're gonna do this. Oh, let me talk it over. We'll call you back and we're gonna research. Oh, wait a minute. Either you want businesses here in Laredo or you don't want businesses here in Laredo. And that's the final no. We don't have a hospital for kids. Okay?
We don't.
We don't. We don't have an.
Could we afford one?
Of course we can.
We probably could, but you
But-
know where that money is? It's right there in those cactuses on Clark.
But then you had, and the reason I do this because I did a lot of building for my father for many years, and my father was an otolaryngologist, just passed a couple of months ago.
I remember your dad.
And,
Wisconsin classes.
Yeah, and he used to send the kids, the infants, because there's no infant ICU unit here. So he used to send them to Corpus because there's none here. They didn't want to bring it in. So he stopped doing surgery for that. He'll start sending them out. You can't take care of them. So what happens? So we have lack of that care. We have some great doctors that are here, some great individuals, some great physicians that have been here in Laredo. They've gone out. Talked to another one the other day, and he already started a practice in San Antonio, and he started a practice in Austin. He comes here 5 days a month. And he says, by next year, I'm gone. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So now you're getting people that are leaving. You have entrepreneurs that are young, they have a great dream. They're going to get shattered here? No. They're going elsewhere. More benefits elsewhere. Okay, here's another problem, and I've talked to many people in the real estate. About 2012, 13, 14 maybe. I've had a lot of students in the past, and this young man used to train with me when I was in Dallas. He married a daughter of a man that had started prosthesis. Okay, company, and dad started it, and they had moved to California. So he wanted to bring it to Texas, but he needed a place where they could have a warehouse that was next to a railroad, that they could do some manufacturing for them to ship out.
They had specific needs.
Yeah, specific needs. And I said, sure. They were going to bring the whole, there were like 15, 16 people from California, and they were going to move to Laredo. These are families that work. They all worked, okay? They were all going to come here, and they were going to start this manufacturing job here, and they were going to employ others. So they started looking for houses. There's a person that they were going to buy houses. They wouldn't budge on the rent. They wouldn't budge on the prices going down. Okay, fine. Okay. None of them would. Everybody saw money. Okay. Instead of making a little bit, they were going to make money. They were still going to make some. They lost a lot. Okay. So they checked McAllen. McAllen started giving them all kinds of deals. Then they checked Fort Worth. So guess where they went? They went to Fort Worth, because of the incentives and the way the real estate over there, how they treated them. They bought houses. This was not federal. This was, they transplanted families.
Yeah.
We don't look at it this way. If you were a home builder, if you were a real estate agent, they should be talking with the city about what do we need for us to start moving and everybody working in the same way. But everybody's greed, what's in it for me? If I'm not going to get it, I don't need to help you. How can you help me? Oh, what political connections do you have for me to work with you? Okay? How many votes do you carry for me to pay attention to you?
Yeah.
That needs to stop. That needs to stop. And believe me, I have a lot of friends that are in in office right now, and have been in other offices and public officials that we became very good friends, and we've been friends for years. The problem that I see, and the way I look at it, it's the employment, that you have a lack, the leadership, not the council, because there's a break there. The council, they start complaining about them all of a sudden. Oh, you guess what? We're gonna have a hot dog eating contest at your park. Yeah, mira, everybody loves it. Ya se lo manzanearon. Ya lo tienen. They already have them over there doing eating hot dogs. And then have all the problems over here. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
And so it's the departments that are down here that's the issue. You have, like you mentioned, and I agree with you. You have employees that don't want to work. Why? Because it's demoralizing.
It is. It is.
But everybody needs to come in and start that. I mean, I don't think they're using the committees as they should. I think the committee should be placing people from the outside. Not my best friend's going to come inside because he knows that, he's going to say, no, you have somebody to tell you. I saw this one time, and in fact, I have a little plaque that was engraved. I bought it. It says, a friend is one that's going to tell you that your mistakes.
Yeah.
If your friends are telling you, always clapping at you, they're not your friends. But a true friend's the one that tells you your mistakes. And I think that's what's happening here, especially with the committees. It's the yes sirs and the yes ma'ams.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, okay, this day and age with so much communication that we have, that a lot of people are not really looking into what's the issues that are going on in the city, because they have a lot of issues. I mean, it's not, esto del agua is because it's affecting so many people, but there are so many things going on that, the city needs to have more professionalism. I don't know if you remember some time back where there was a lot of scandals about some drinking issues that were there, and all these things that were happening. That's there's no honor or integrity in that. I think that the city council has lost the family values that Laredo espouses, because we're very, very tight community in that way. We're very family oriented, but our city council members have forgotten that. And we need a better city for our kids, because what are we going to leave behind? The only thing that we're going to leave behind is good memories to our children, if we can do that. And right now, we're just saddling them with debt. Every time that the council members get that discretionary fund, we fall into debt because we don't have the money. Why we don't have the money, it's beyond me, because, and I know I keep going back to that, the city gets so much money from the bridges. Where is that money? I want to know where it is. I want to see it. I want to see it, because you tell me it's right here. Look at this street. It's 4 lanes and there's no stops, and you can travel from one side of the city to the other without stopping straight like that. No, we're just saddled with Route 20. That's all we got. So, I hope that this election time, that there's a change, and that there's a good change, that our city, there's an opportunity for our city to grow. The opportunity is there. We as voters just have to take care of it. Go out there and do it and vote.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of things that you have to go in there. What will be the first thing that you will tackle if let's say you get elected, and it's January, or immediately you go in?
I think the city's in December.
Okay.
You get sworn in, but the first meeting is in January, I believe.
So if you go in, what would you be tackling first?
This thing with the water, I mean, I have to really look deep into what is really going on, and how many times a year the water is a big issue right now. And how many times have they tested that water? Why do we have to have the state come down here and tell us, oh, you have E. coli in your water? I have a feeling they already knew. They just didn't want to come out with it. 'Cause as I said, Paul, a lot of my friends got sick.
Yes.
Even I took my daughter to the emergency room. So I think that was already there. We were just not told. So I think that we need to have something in place where not only are we taking care of the water, but we're notifying people at the appropriate time. Not a scare tactic. People need to know. That's one, but one of my biggest priority is economic development. Because as I told you, I've spoken with a lot of people, and as I'm walking the streets, and they've told me, there's no good jobs here in Laredo. There aren't any. You were just telling me about this family that wanted to move here to Laredo. You know, it's just, they went away. We need to bring really good paying jobs to Laredo and have opportunity for small businesses to grow and flourish here. If that's with tax incentives, with, you know, helping them with zoning issues. I'm not saying violate the law and put, but, you know, we can work. It's about finding solutions together.
Don't, like what happened with us. Don't say this business can't open it, your business can't, and exactly the same business opens in the same spot.
Yeah, I've heard
Okay,
that.
you know,
I've heard that.
Why? You know, so, and everybody's playing twiddle-dee, twiddle-dum, and that's a problem.
Yes.
Do we have a problem? I've seen it, so I can voice it out. I've seen it. And I've seen the inspectors, the way they act. I've seen it. And if those people that are doing reconstruction and trying to build a new business, now I know what's going on, because it's going to happen. It's happening. But regardless, on that note, you have an election to go through, and I think you're going to be doing some. But that's still around the corner, no? Early votes next week or what?
Yeah, it's starting, I think it was the 21st of October.
2 weeks?
I know it's pretty close. Yeah, the 21st.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, today's Sunday the 13th. So this upcoming Sunday, on Monday, we should start election.
Next Monday. Absolutely. Well, it was good to have you here. Thank you. And folks out there, be concerned about what you're doing, and also when you're going out to vote, research each and every candidate. Okay. So next time I'm doing. Thank you, folks. We'll leave you with this. You all be safe, stay safe, and God bless you all. Until next time, much peace.
Have you ever wondered about what happens in a martial arts studio? Well, you start right away by setting goals, building determination, gaining focus, building skills, all while becoming more fit, gaining confidence, and learning self-defense. Buitron Academy is a school where attitude meets aptitude. So give us a call at 956-401-4868.